Rob van Rooyen from House of Brave, a very warm welcome to the Red Zone. No doubt about it that money is incredibly tight these days. It makes the assumption, one has the assumption that brands have got to radically rethink the way they're advertising. More importantly, though, how they're allocating budget. What do you say? 100%.
I think that, advertising is probably the wrong word. How they're communicating is becoming even more relevant. It's very easy to say to people, in a reform market, or what they like to call it a press market, but I think it's being reformed, cut the budget, And I have to be honest that if I was on the other fence, I'd also cut the budget. But I think it's about cutting the budget in an intelligent way, and not only in an intelligent way, but how to reallocate money to make it work harder. And I think that that's where the challenge lies in today. It's not necessarily about just the money is tight, it's how do we make the money work harder. And I'm not sure many people know how to do that or when to do that, because the simple answer is, if we need to sell, let's advertise.
But there's a very easy answer to this. You cut above the line and you dive below the line, you save the money and you say thanks very much.
I think that was...
It's a little more complicated than that, though, isn't it?
It's a little bit more complicated. Well, I just think that we used to think in that thing, above the line, below the line. I think that line has completely disappeared. We always talk about a ground-up approach. Brands are realizing as what they do in the ground, what they do with their staff, actually gives you the motivation and the story to go and talk to people at a higher level. It was very nice, kind of in the 80s and 90s, we used to make a TV ad, take a frame grab, put it on a billboard, we'd go to lunch. I mean, that was what we used to do. Now it's bloody hard, because now we're saying, what is going to give us the return on investment, and what do we really need to do? And I think people are analyzing the sales chain or the consumer journey a lot more to understand what are the points that we really need to manipulate to get effect.
So this is predicated on a big change in conversation between the agency where you sit and the brand. How's that conversation changed?
It's changed radically, and I think it's not just a two-way conversation. There's multiple partners that are involved in that conversation now. We're seeing fantastically sales getting back into the realm of marketing. They drifted apart for a while. There was marketing and sales just as much as there was digital above the line and below the line. And I think it's now becoming a forum discussion around, do we really understand the challenge that's in front of us? And what are the changes we need to make? I mean, we're the first ones to kind of tell clients, don't advertise until you're ready, which, we always get that glazed look and, oh, what are you talking about? And it's understanding what we actually do is supposed to be connected to some sort of effect. And it's not just in the realm of communication, it lies in so many other areas, internal alignment, what you're doing with the conversation, how you engaging the consumer. And I say that word, engaging the consumer, because it's not just about a one-way, let's broadcast the message and just pray for rain. It's about what we really need to do to get them to act.
What questions does the chief executive need to be asking of his or her marketing director, and what should the marketing director be demanding of their agency?
Well, I think that, again, the conversation doesn't just happen in those silos. I think that what they're saying is, what are the results that we need to get, and where do we need to get them from? The measure a lot of the time, obviously, is sales, or, it doesn't matter, it's the growth of the target. And that's what the CEO asks most of. But I think that the measures also need to be very, very well thought out. So we used to do a very broad thing. We go like, get us some brand awareness. What the hell that is, to this day, I still don't know. Brand affinity measures and being able to measure it are much more important. I think that CEOs need to be asking the exact question of, I'm spending this money, what am I getting for it? Rather than, spend the money and let's hope for something else. And I think that the pressure needs to be put on marketing departments to say, number one, do I have the measures in place? I'm always surprised to hear they go like, we'd like brand awareness. We say, great, how are you going to measure it? We haven't really allocated that. So it's about going back to basics. I think a lot of the time is taking the science of communication and just doing the basics well, and then understanding what can we do to make those basics better.
But Rob, you work in an ephemeral medium, you know that. Often you can do all of that, and that's important. You've got to ask those hard questions.
Sure.
But somewhere there's that sprinkling of magic, and that's what makes your industry so interesting. Are you saying put away the sprinkles?
Not at all. And I think that...
I think you are saying that.
No, I think that the opposite. I think that fame and bravery, there's never been a better time for fame and bravery, because, I always say never underestimate the power of a T-shirt, never underestimate the power of a good ad. Someone said to me the other day, and I'll never forget, we sat in the brief and they said, we need to do something big. We need to put someone on the moon. X. And I went, that's great. That costs a lot of money, and that's wonderful. But understand that that's not what communication is about. Communication is about doing something really smart and clever that gets people talking. And in fact, the first thing that we talk to people about is, how do we create talkability? Not necessarily, because as a communication industry, we're supposed to create talkability and get eyeballs, earballs, and interest.
You make the point that marketing must generate ROI, return on investment. What is the R?
Well, I think that is a fantastic kind of question, because a lot of people think the R is sales.
Yeah.
And we must be honest about what we do as an industry. What we do is we bring the horse to water. We don't make them drink. That's essentially what the marketing department inside an organization is supposed to be able to do. So they have all the other things in place, and please erase this one. It is the other 4 Ps or the 7 Ps or the 9 Ps that evolves every day. It is about understanding the chain of sale. So we get interest, we get desire, we lead people in store, we get people talking. That's all we really do. We actually don't do sales. So that is our measure. So a lot of the time we'll talk to people and say, yeah, we're happy to do risk and reward, when we pay, or when people pay us. But understand what we are risking and what we are gaining. We create interest, desire, and we lead people to you. What you do with those people is up to you.
And in terms of that talkability, in terms of taking people to the water, often it's a smaller, as you suggest, a more niched conversation, a more strategic, a more targeted conversation. You also suggest that the big brand ad is something of the past. The put me on the moon, as you've just suggested. Do we not put people on the moon anymore? Do you need to recalibrate the thinking? Is it a whole lot smaller?
I think that it's about creating communication with meaning. We used to do. I used to love Robin Putter. The old school. We used to make these big VW ads.
Robin Putter, the venerable creative director from the Ogilvy Group, passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, Robin, he used to. I always say he was a philosopher in a beer bottle, but he had incredible insights. And he said if you can make someone cry or laugh, you're in the right place. And that is what I think you're referring to in terms of the magic. We have to create communication that makes impact. Whether that is a 50 million rand TV commercial, I'm not so sure anymore, because there are smarter, easier ways to do that as well. We are responsible for the magic, but the magic is about touching people in a way that makes them go, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm happy, I laugh. It's about getting back to the basics of reaction. R, in our case, is getting people to feel and act. That's what we do. That is our return from a communication industry. The marketing industry is supposed to be turning R, the interest, the desire, into sales. And that's where the disconnect a lot of time happens, is people walk in and they'll give us a brief and say, Rob, I'd like to sell 15,000 units by July. And I go, well, I have no idea how you're going to do that, because nothing else is in place. So yeah, I can get you over 50,000 leads. What you do with them is up to you. But you're not measuring me on that because you're not in place to do that.
Rob van Rooyen, thank you very much.
Thank you.